back again with another video. Thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. So this is a video about potential escape of Hitler. So the official story, Hitler committed suicide in the bunker, in the Fuhrer bunker in Berlin. I believe the official date was April 30th, 45. However, I personally don't believe that. You can call me crazy all you want. That's fine. I get it. I understand if you think that. I just personally don't believe that he committed suicide. And I think he faked his death and escaped. Again, you can call me crazy. That's fine. I get it. But I've been watching Hunting Hitler lately, the 3 seasons on History Channel. I personally recommend this show. It is great. I love it. It basically kind of been saying and conceptualizing all the things that I've been thinking over the past couple of years. Okay, so let's go to Google Maps. So here is the current situation, current political map of the world. United States over here. This is the current map of Europe. So during World War II, the Germans, owned the Greater German Reich was present-day Germany, Austria, Czech Republic, and much of Western Poland. So the Greater German Reich was mostly in this area right here. The Soviet Union over here, the Brits, the French, the Americans. Obviously, Germany invaded the Low Countries in Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and then into France in 1940. Invaded the Soviet Union through Poland in 1941, in June. I believe the 22nd of June, 1941, was the official start date of Barbarossa. So, the war is coming to an end. The Russians, the Soviets are coming from the east, coming from the southeast, and converging on Berlin. The Western Allies, the Free French, the Brits, the Canadians, the Americans, land in Normandy, June 6, 1944, capture Paris, and Battle of the Bulge, and then into Germany. So the Western Allies are coming from the west, Soviet Red Army is coming from the east. Hitler is in Berlin. Is in Berlin right here, and there are only 2 escape routes. You either go south into the Alps, you get into Austria, you get into, I believe, Hitler's, I think it's Wolf's Den or something. I don't know. South of the town, Hitler's Eagle Nest is in Berchtesgaden, Germany. But remember, back in the time, Germany and Austria, you have the Anschluss in 1938. You can either go from Berlin, we'll measure that distance, from Berlin down to Berchtesgaden is about 337 miles. You can go south, go through the Alps, through northern Italy, and find your way to Spain. That's one way. Or you can go north. Because again, you can't go west. The Allies are coming. You can't go east. The Soviets are coming. So you go from Berlin. We're going to measure distance up into Denmark. 280 miles. Maybe even up into Norway. Maybe Kristiansand. So you can either go north to Denmark, northern Germany, or Norway. Or you can go south towards Berchtesgaden and get the Eagle's Nest. So we're going to call it, Berchtesgaden. Sorry. Interesting. So, those are your two options. North to Denmark or south to the Alps. Figure out a way into northern Italy. Ultimately, no matter what way you go, you're going to have to get to Spain. Spain at the time was run by Franco. Franco was another fascist dictator that was sympathetic to the Nazis. Smuggled a lot of them in. Then another thing that's important to know is Franco was helped in the Spanish Civil War by Hitler. So, yeah. No matter what way you go, north and then to Spain, or south and to Spain, no matter what way you go, you have to get to Spain. And then once you get to Spain, you can get on U-boats, go down to Argentina. You can stop at the Canary Islands right here for refuel if you need, and then down to Argentina, down here. Anyways, I've been fascinated with this subject for the past couple weeks. So you start digging, you start questioning authority and questioning the real, official story of the fact that Hitler committed suicide. And again, I don't believe it for a second. So you start digging, and this is a newspaper story from December 1947. German pilot names others who knew Hitler and Eva Braun escaped Berlin. One-time German SS pilot, his name was Baumgart, Captain Peter Baumgart, said he flew Adolf Hitler and his mistress Eva Braun to Denmark just before the fall of Berlin. The plane flew through an artillery barrage, finally landed in a field in Denmark, 44 miles from the Eder River, which runs through northern Germany, just below the Danish border. Hitler's party then boarded a submarine, and the three planes flew back to Germany. British Army intelligence reports that it was a suicide. The plane landed in a field in Denmark, 44 miles from the Eder River. All right, let's go back and find, where the Eder River is. I remember it's somewhere in this area. I believe, yes, Eder River right here. Okay, so the mouth of the river's here, kind of makes its way around much of northern Germany. So we're going to measure distance. 44 miles. 41 miles. So basically 44 miles is Tonder. Tonder, Denmark. Roughly 44 miles from the Eder River. You can even move it a little bit. You're at about 43 miles. Yep, roughly about that. So roughly 44 miles from the Eder River is Tonder, Denmark. Now I started digging, and I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. So potentially did fly from Berlin to Denmark, and then would get on a U-boat somewhere here, and then off through the English Channel, down to Spain, and then down to Argentina. So I started digging on Tonder, and we had to go back a little bit to World War I. Tondern raid. So the location, Tondern, German Empire. Now, Tonder, Denmark. The Tondern raid, a British bombing raid mounted by the Royal Navy and Royal Air Force against the Imperial German Navy airship base at present-day Tonder, Denmark, or Tondern, German Empire. The airships were used for the strategic bombing of Britain. It was the first attack in history by aircraft from an aircraft carrier. So, Tondern raid. The Germans, the Imperial German Empire, had an airship base at Tonder or Tondern, depending on what you call it. Zeppelin Basin. Zeppelin base by Tonder. When the First World War broke out in 1914, the German fleet had but one airship, the Zeppelin L-3. The German Navy's need for airships increased rapidly in the first few months of the war, and there was a proposal on the table for an airship base at Tonder. Well, that's interesting. So, Baumgart flew Hitler 44 miles north of the Eder River, and 44 miles north of the Eder River in Germany is a place called Tonder. That's interesting. That's a coincidence. Can't be. Okay. The base was basically a small town in itself. So this is a picture, Zeppelin base in Tonder. So all these Zeppelins come in, you got hangars. A couple more pictures. That's interesting. Got a massive warehouse right there. And ultimately this is more or less what's left of it. After the First World War, Germany was ordered to decommission all military buildings and installations. They didn't have any effect on Denmark, or Tonder, which following reunification was now in Denmark. Okay, so let's figure out where this is. So here are the coordinates. Okay, so here's a couple pictures. Zeppelin docking here at Tonder. Airship hangars. Okay, so plug in the coordinates to Google Maps. You're going to get a little bit north. Zeppelin Museum at Tonder. Okay. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. So basically, it looks like... Okay, so here's the hangar. More or less. See if we can... Yeah, so here is what's left of the hangar, or one of the hangars. One of these hangars from the Zeppelin base. So basically you land the Zeppelins somewhere in this area. You know, if you really, really want to, you can just set it down anywhere. But if you have a plane, you're probably landing the plane somewhere in this field. Maybe even this field. You know, there's a lot of open space around here. You can pretty much land, depending on what the tree lines were back then, you can kind of come maybe from this way, maybe if those trees weren't there, maybe, I'm pretty sure the McDonald's was not there at the time, maybe come in this way. But what's interesting, Captain Baumgart, the plane finally landed in a field in Denmark, 44 miles from the Eder River. Now, hold on. Let's come back. Yeah. Okay. So, Zeppelin Museum, Tonder. It's about 45 miles. But the good thing for us, the Eder River goes north. Yeah, so the base of the Eder River It's about right here. The base of the Eder River to the airship base in Tonder, or Tondern, depending on your historical preference, is 44.76 miles from the Eder River. Pretty much saying, yeah, this checks out. Now again, he could be full of it, or maybe he's not. So ultimately he said that was done, looks like April 28th, 1945. Now if we come back over to here, this is a Wikipedia page for Denmark during the Second World War. Ultimately, the Germans, Nazis, invaded Denmark, and we scroll down, back down to the highlighted part. On May 5th, 1945, Denmark was officially free of German control. So it checks out. The 44 miles does check out. He could go to Denmark. Denmark was still in Nazi control at the time. Fly from Berlin down to a field 44 miles north of the Eder River, which starts here down by Tonning. 44 miles north of that is Tonder, or Tondern. It sounds crazy, but one of the routes Hitler could have escaped was on a plane and fly north to Tonder, Denmark, and then hop on a submarine and off he went. Sounds crazy, but I don't believe he committed suicide in the bunker, and that's a very viable route to get out. Crazy. It sounds crazy, but to me it doesn't. So with that being said, that is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I might honestly make a couple more of these videos because this story intrigues me. So with that being said, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.